Today we were supposed to hear testimony from two Americans who tackled the gunman, Ayub al-Khazani. Both of them were off-duty service members at the time. The one who charged him first, though, Spencer Stone, ultimately was unable to testify today. He fell ill upon arriving in Paris and had to be hospitalized. His lawyer now says we're expecting to hear from him on Monday. What we did hear from his friend, Alex Skarlatos, was first a reminder of how much luck was involved. Khazani's AK-47 didn't work. Skarlatos said he believed that was a problem with the ammunition. He also talked about the fact that he tried to shoot and kill Khazani when he continued to resist them. Skarlatos' political engagement also came up. He ran for Congress just this past November with the Republican Party and didn't win.
Tonight, chaos and confusion after multiple people were shot at this mall just outside Milwaukee.
Head to the mall for shots fired.
SWAT teams swarming the Mayfair Mall in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin late this afternoon after reports of gunshots and an active shooter. At least 8 people wounded, many wheeled out on stretchers. An exact motive remains unclear. Tonight, the shooter on the loose, an urgent manhunt underway.
Meanwhile, Mexico took a step closer to legalizing marijuana for recreational and medicinal use. The Senate approved a landmark cannabis legalization bill on Thursday. This paved the way for the creation of the world's largest legal marijuana market. However, this legislation still requires approval by the lower house of Congress.
Mexican senators recently approved a historic cannabis legalization bill by 82 to 18 votes. Lawmakers are rushing to secure final approval from the lower house of Congress. Before the end of the current congressional session in December, if approved, the bill would mark a shift in the country's drug laws. Several international weed companies have expressed their interest to invest in the future of the Mexican legal market.
A woman narrowly misses being struck by a train after being pushed onto the subway tracks in New York City. Officers Thursday said the suspect, a 24-year-old man who's reportedly homeless, was taken into custody and charged with assault, reckless endangerment, and attempted murder. Witnesses say the 40-year-old woman was waiting for the train as the man started to approach her. Apparently, the man, who officers say appeared to be emotionally disturbed, timed his attack to shove the woman exactly as the train arrived. Officers say he pushed her without saying a word. Miraculously, the woman landed in between the roadbed and the subway tracks, allowing 2 cars to pass over her without much incident. The deranged man immediately surrendered to an MTA officer and laid down on the ground. The victim was transported to a local hospital and is expected to survive, having only sustained minor injuries.
Just in the last few moments, CNN has been able to confirm news originally reported by Bloomberg. This is from my colleague, Caitlin Collins, who confirms that the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., has tested positive for coronavirus. I'm going to read a statement now from a spokesperson for Don Jr. They write, quote, Don tested positive at the start of the week and has been quarantining out at his cabin since the result. He's been completely asymptomatic so far and is following all medically recommended COVID-19 guidelines. So again, the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., testing positive for coronavirus. You'll recall that earlier this summer, his girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle, tested positive for the virus. She eventually overcame it. No serious health issues there. But Don Jr. now becomes the latest in a long string of officials close to the president, close to the White House, who have contracted the virus.
These are some of the 9 suspects who handed themselves over to the Hawks in Port Elizabeth early on Friday. They include Zandisi Lekupe, Special Advisor to Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane. Among them, a former Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality Deputy Mayor, Thando Ngoloba, several businessmen and officials. Investigators say the suspects operated as a syndicate to siphon millions of rands from 2 projects in Port Elizabeth.
There were 2 projects that dates back in 2010. One relates to the rapid bus system. There was a project that was linked to that. And of course, procurement processes had to be followed to identify your service providers.
The 5-year civil war in Yemen is one of the world's most intractable conflicts. It's caused the world's worst humanitarian crisis, with 20 million Yemenis in need of urgent humanitarian aid. And the situation is rapidly deteriorating. The UN warns that Yemen is on the verge of a catastrophic famine. It says a drastic reduction in funding, aid obstruction by warring sides, COVID-19, floods and locust infestations have compounded the crisis.
And we see a dramatic degradation of the humanitarian situation, and the risk, as it was expressed this morning in my statement, the risk of a famine that probably would have had no parallel in the recent history.